The world has definitely not been the same since SpongeBob first hit TV screens. But do you remember when that was, or how the world's most famous yellow character looked completely different from what we know today? SpongeBob's series officially premiered in the late 1990s, but that doesn't mean there isn't a 1950s version of the cartoon. That's because there are a few Nickelodeon episodes where SpongeBob and other residents of Bikini Bottom, like Squidward and Mr. Krabs, appear entirely in black and white. This was a tribute to the very first cartoons, which were completely without color from their beginning in 1927, up until around the 1950s and 1960s, when color TVS began to appear. Even though I love seeing this black and white version of SpongeBob, the truth is, the first time our SquarePants hero came into existence was way back in 1989, 10 years before the Nickelodeon premiere. That's when Stephen Hillenburg, who was then a marine biology teacher, created an illustrated educational book called The Intertidal Zone. And in fact, the star of that story wasn't SpongeBob at all, but rather a shrimp named Rocky, who hosted a very popular underwater TV program. There was also another major character, a five-eyed starfish with an eye at each tip, who loved watching TV. We can easily say that he was a distant ancestor of our beloved Patrick. Oh, and he also had a pet snail, just like SpongeBob would later get. And tucked inside the whole story was a tiny, perfectly round sea sponge, always cheerful and rocking sunglasses, whose name was Bob. But back then, he still wasn't wearing square pants. Hillenburg loved his book so much that he actually quit his job and went on to study animation until he finally landed a position at Nickelodeon. After one of Nickelodeon's most popular shows at the time ended, Rocko's Modern Life, Steven was chosen to create a brand new hit for the network, and that's when SpongeBob was born. Yeah, you probably thought I was about to say SpongeBob, right? But not yet. Originally, the idea was for the cartoon to be called SpongeBob Ahoy, which honestly sounds pretty cool. The problem? They soon found out that SpongeBob was already a registered trademark for a cleaning product, basically a kind of mop. This could have caused legal trouble, so Hillenburg and Nickelodeon had to rename the character, and they chose SpongeBob because it sounded a lot like SpongeBob. On top of that, they added SquarePants as his last name, which turned out to be one of the best choices they ever made. The following year, they created SpongeBob's pilot episode and showed it to Nickelodeon's top executives. After watching it and loving the idea, Nickelodeon gave Hillenburg and his team the green light to start producing SpongeBob's very first season. The very first episode aired on May 1st, 1999, called Help Wanted, where we see the day SpongeBob got his job at the Krusty Krab and what he had to go through to earn his special spatula so he could make the most famous Krabby Patties in the 7 Seas. In just 1 month on air, back in 1999, SpongeBob had already beaten Pokemon in ratings on American television, which at the time was the most watched cartoon on TV. On top of that, the show reached across different age groups, winning not only kids, but also a huge number of teenagers and adults. To give you an idea, by 2002, nearly a third of its 56 million total viewers were between 18 and 49 years old.
I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready! I'm ready!
SpongeBob SquarePants!
After the success of the first season, Nickelodeon and Steven, SpongeBob's creator, released Season 2 in 2000 and Season 3 in 2001. But before moving forward with Season 4, they decided it was the perfect time to release SpongeBob's very first movie, which premiered on November 19, 2004. And of course, it was another huge hit. Simply titled The SpongeBob SquarePants Movie, the story begins with King Neptune accusing Mr. Krabs of stealing his crown. But in reality, the one behind the theft is Plankton, who puts his Plan Z into motion, yet another one of his schemes for domination. SpongeBob feels too immature to prove his worth and get promoted at the Krusty Krab, but along with Patrick, he decides to go recover the crown. The duo sets off on an epic adventure all the way to Shell City, a place feared by everyone. Along the way, they face sea monsters, pirates, and even a biker gang chase. By the end of the movie, they learn that being a kid at heart isn't a weakness. It's actually a strength. With the power of music and friendship, SpongeBob and Patrick recover the crown, save Mr. Krabs, and once again put a stop to Plankton's plan. Before we go on, just a quick heads up. If you're also into movies, shows, and cartoons, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. With their gold mine still pouring out money straight from the bottom of the sea, Nickelodeon obviously kept SpongeBob seasons rolling out. Right after the movie, Season 5 came in 2005, bringing big improvements in the show's animation, matching the same level of quality as the movie. Season 5 premiered in 2007, while Season 6 hit the air in 2008, and Season 7 the following year, in 2009. 2 years later, Season 8 was released in 2011, and Season 9 started airing in 2012. So, 8 years had already passed since the 2004 movie, and Nickelodeon thought it was the right time to drop the second movie. After 3 years of production, in 2015, they finally finished and released the SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water. This time, Plankton tries once again to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. But during all the chaos, the formula mysteriously disappears, throwing Bikini Bottom into total panic and shortage. To solve the situation, SpongeBob is forced to form an unlikely alliance with Plankton himself. Their search takes them to the surface, where they discover that the formula was stolen by a pirate named Burger Beard. He owns a magical book that brings to life everything that is written in it. To face him, SpongeBob, Patrick, Squidward, Sandy, and Plankton use the power of the book and transform into superheroes. SpongeBob becomes Invincible, bubble powers. Patrick becomes Mr. Super Freeze, ice cream powers. Squidward becomes Sir Squidward the Marvelous, music powers. Sandy becomes Squirrel Girl, enhanced strength and agility. Plankton becomes Giant Plankton. Together, they face Burger Beard to recover the secret formula and save Bikini Bottom. After the second movie, seasons 10, 11, 12, and 13 were released in 2016, 2017, 2018, and 2020. Between the release of season 12 and season 13 of SpongeBob, Steven Hillenburg, the creator of the character, sadly passed away in 2018. Then, in 2020, the third SpongeBob movie was released fully in CGI, called The SpongeBob Movie: Sponge on the Run. It all begins when Gary, SpongeBob's pet snail, goes missing. It's revealed that he was kidnapped by King Poseidon, the ruler of Atlantic City, who needs snail slime to maintain his youth. SpongeBob and Patrick set out on a rescue journey to Atlantic City, going through several challenges, including strange encounters in the desert. Throughout the adventure, flashbacks of SpongeBob and Gary's childhood at Camp Coral are shown, serving as an introduction to the spin-off released shortly after in 2021. The series shows SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, Squidward, Mr. Krabs, and even Plankton as kids or teenagers. They all attend the summer camp Camp Coral, run by Mr. Krabs with help from a younger version of Plankton. The setting is inspired by typical summer camps, but adapted to the underwater world. The series is still in production, running alongside the regular SpongeBob seasons. The second season of Camp Coral was released in 2024. On top of all that, also in 2021, another SpongeBob spin-off was launched, called The Patrick Star Show. The series features Patrick as the host of a surreal and improvised TV show, broadcast directly from his family's house. The episodes work like a wacky reality show, mixing sketches, interviews, musical numbers, and absurd situations. Despite the focus on Patrick, other classic Bikini Bottom characters, like SpongeBob, Squidward, and Sandy, appear in the episodes. After this triple expansion of the SpongeBob universe, in 2023, Season 14 of SpongeBob was released by Nickelodeon, and in 2024, the 15th season aired. Soon after, also in 2024, in partnership with Nickelodeon, Netflix released the movie Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. The story begins with the news that Bikini Bottom was sucked out of the ocean and mysteriously transported to Texas, Sandy's home state. Sandy, along with SpongeBob, goes on a rescue mission to save their friends and the entire city. There, Sandy must prove that her inventor skills and her courage can save the underwater community. Without a doubt, the worst SpongeBob movie to date. In the following year, 2025, season 16 of the series was released, and at the same time, Netflix dropped another movie where SpongeBob isn't the main character. This time, the spotlight was on Plankton. The movie focuses on Plankton and Karen, showing the villain outside of his usual role as Mr. Krabs' direct antagonist. Tired of always failing in his plans to steal the Krabby Patty formula, Plankton goes through an existential crisis. Does he actually have any purpose beyond being the bad guy? Together with Karen, he sets out on an unexpected adventure that mixes musical numbers with absurd comedy, while trying to prove to himself and to everyone else that he can be a hero, or at least the protagonist of his own story. Of course, the movie also features beloved characters like SpongeBob, Patrick, and even Squidward, along with new characters created exclusively for the film. In the end, despite all the chaos, Plankton learns that his greatest strength lies in his partnership with Karen, highlighting the more human and hilarious side of the couple. This was the very first musical film within the SpongeBob universe so far. But that wasn't the only SpongeBob movie in 2025. That's because in December, just in time for Christmas, the SpongeBob movie, Search for SquarePants, is set to be released. In the story, SpongeBob sets off on an adventure to prove his courage to Mr. Krabs, chasing a mysterious ghost pirate, the legendary Flying Dutchman, down into the depths of the ocean. Since the movie hasn't premiered yet, we can't really say if it's good, but knowing SpongeBob movies, chances are it'll be a hit. That's where we wrap things up, but we've left 2 videos on the screen for you to keep watching with us. Click on one of them and have fun. Thanks.